that let's understand what is object oriented concept. Okay, since Java is object oriented programming language, we are going to see what is object oriented concept. In these days we are dealing in internet, website and web based operations, and most of the things are done online. Okay, so the source code which is used to deal on internet, that is very important. Okay, in terms of security and in terms of how that information is passing from one end to another. So here object oriented techniques as methodology or as paradigm is playing significant role in analysis, design and implementation of software system. So as we know that the basic important programming languages were there, and then C, C++ were there up in market, and nowadays we have the latest, that is object oriented concept, and Java is based on this object oriented concept. And in object oriented concept, this is technique for analysis, design and implementation of software system. So basically if we talk about Android, it is an operating system and it is based on this object oriented concept. The introduction. So actually this concept started in 1960s. Okay, and in the mid 80s, that is after 1980s to before 1990, it has become the main programming paradigm. So worldwide most of the programs and softwares were built using this object oriented programming concept. So whether it is Java or any other programming language, it was used, this concept was used for creating softwares. And this object oriented programming concept is developed to handle the rapidly increasing size and complexity of software system, and to make it easier to modify large and complex system over time. As we know that softwares are not mainly built for one or two tasks, but for multiple tasks. Okay, variety of tasks. So the software nowadays that comes for any purpose, that is a complex software. Okay, and it is large in size. So to create this type of software and to modify something over the time is very difficult. That is difficult. And using this Java, we have that facility that we can modify that software easily. And the few programming languages, if we see as an example of this paradigm, are C++, Java, C Sharp, VBNet, ASP.NET, and PHP. Before going into detail of this object-oriented concept, let us understand programming is divided into how many parts. So the first one is structure or procedural. C language that we have earlier used in class 10 was structure or procedural programming language. And the second one is object oriented. So what is the difference between these two languages? Okay. So in procedure programming, the focus is on writing function or procedure, and this function and procedures operate on data. So for example, if there is a library application software, focus is on student registration, book issue, book return, fine calculation, etc. So these are functions: registering a student, issuing a book, taking back the book, and then fine calculation if book is submitted after stipulated time. So these are procedures or functions. And the main thing is data. Data is what here? The student, the book, etc. So instead of focusing on student and book, the procedure or structural programming focuses on the process. Okay, but in object oriented paradigm, the focus is on object. Okay, for example, in library software, the objects are student, book, etc. And this object contains both data and functionality. Okay, so the main focus is on objects. So in above example, Objects are what? Student is taking book from library, student is returning the book. So student and book is there, that can be considered as object, and the person who is in this transaction, that is librarian, that is also an object. Now the main features of object oriented programming are what? It enables the user to create modular, reusable and extendable code. Modular is what? When there is a complex task and we are creating a software, at that time it is very large. So this large software is divided into smaller parts. Okay, for different tasks there is one module, so that is modular programming. So object oriented programming giving you the facility to create modular programming. Then reusable, that means once if you have created an object or a function, you can reuse it afterwards in other software or program also. And extendable code, that is you can include more features in that software as and when required. So that is extendable code. Now when flexibility is also given, flexibility is what? We can change or replace modules, that is part of the software, without affecting other parts. Okay, we can take it out or we can change that part. So this reusability and ability to modify the existing code or extend that existing code, that gives speedier work in software development. So since we know that object is fundamental building block in object oriented programming, it's similar, and this object, like for example student, that we have discussed as an object in library example. So similar objects are classified using a concept of class. So same type of objects, because there is not only one student who is in the school and who is doing all this process, that is that book issuing that book and that giving examination, etc. There are multiple students and these multiple students are in different class, but basic property of a student is same. So we can create a class in which all students are included. Okay, so that is concept of class, wherein similar type of objects we are placing. There are four different types of object properties, that is abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism and inheritance. This is power of project object oriented programming. So let us understand this concept. The first thing, the object itself. Okay, so what can be an object in object oriented programming? So object in object oriented programming can be any real life entity, okay, or any concept. We can create an object which is visible or invisible, both. So any living or non-living thing around the world can be an object in object oriented programming. And even a concept also can be an object, that is called abstract. Abstract things are like date and time, so we can create objects like this, date and time, etc. So for example, if we consider a person as an object, okay, so what are the basic features that each and every uh, person share? Okay, that is name, city, gender, date of birth, profession, etc. Okay, so all this becomes properties of that object, and these properties are applied to all objects. Okay, in that class, and we what is there we differentiate different objects from each other. That is value of this property. Okay, so we are going to see that. So let's take that. Okay, class and object we are going to see with a picture, and this characteristics that we have just discussed, that is name, profession, date of birth, are called properties or attributes of that object. Okay, and when two different objects are there under same class, for example person A and person B, at that time both these are identified individually using their value. Okay, for example, name of the first person is A and name of the first person is B. So we can identify this object differently using value, that is name. Same way, when we give value of birth date, that also can be different for each and every object. Then city, few uh, few objects are different from other objects in city, like that. Now these values, for example, name is A, name is B, or date of birth is this or that. That is, these values are called state. Okay, so each object has its state, in which is a value for any attribute. And then there is a behavior, means this object is doing what, that is behavior. For example, if we create a person as an object, at that time a person takes birth, gets a name, he changes its location, like that. So that is called behavior, and this behavior is also known as method. Okay, method in object oriented programming. And state of the object can change due to its behavior. Okay, so there are three things we describe any object, that is identity. Okay, then what it is, its state, and what it does, that is behavior. And in object oriented programming, these attributes, okay, for example, person's attributes are name, date of birth, city, like that, are also referred as data fields. Okay, and the data attributes and behavioral method associated with an object are collectively referred to as members or features of that object. Now comes a class. A class is a structure. Okay, for example, if we are creating objects, uh, like a person, for a person, we know that there are few features which are common to each and every people, like name, city, gender, date of birth, and profession. Okay, these things are assigned to, these attributes are assigned to each and every person. Okay, and there are one, two, three, four, and five people. Okay, these are objects. This person is a class. Class is a template or a structure. So first of all, we define a class, and inside that class we define attributes, that whatever objects we create in this class will get these attributes: name, city, gender, birth date, and profession. And then when we are creating an object inside this person class, at that time we are supposed to give values of these attributes. For example, to this object, that is the first one, we are giving name Dana, then city Rajkot, gender female, date of birth is 9 September 92, profession is a player. Same way, one more object with different values of these attributes we have given. Then the third one, fourth one, and fifth one. Okay, so now we can see that all these objects are inside person class and they share same attributes. But what differentiate this object from this object? That is, first is name, then city they belong to, then their gender value is same, but their date of birth is different and their profession is different. Okay, so this is an a real example of class and objects inside that class. Now here, introduction to class diagram. So the next topic is class diagram. So class diagram represent collection of classes, constraints, and relationship among classes. So there is UML, that is Unified Modeling Language, that can be used to create models of object oriented software to help with design of an application. Okay, before creating an application or software, there is a particular design that is called Unified Modeling Language. Okay, using that we are creating models of the software that we are going to create using object oriented programming. So this is UML is a visual modeling language. Visual modeling language means everything can be done using visual elements. Okay, language defined and maintained by the object management group. Okay, this is the organization or the group that has developed this UML and maintaining it. And this UML specifies several diagrams for representing different aspects of a software application. This is in UML convention how a class is represented. So in a class diagram, there are particular methods or rules to create represent that class. On the top of this representation, there should be name of that class. Okay, that is number one. Name of the class in the top. Then in center, attributes or properties of the class in the middle section. Okay, so in that class, whatever attributes or properties we are assigning, that should be after class name. Then behavior or operations or method of the class in the bottom section. Which methods can be operated on that class? Method means functions. Okay, so that is in the bottom level. So for example, same thing we are uh, getting an example of the same. Here the class name is person. Then the attributes that we are setting to this class is name, and this is data type string. Okay, this is string. Then gender, that is character. Data type, birth date, that is date data type. Profession, again string. String is what? Sequence of characters. That can be a word or multiple words. Okay, that is called string in programming. So this is center part, that is visibility attribute. And the last one is visibility operation. What can be done? Okay, on this class, person class. So we can set date of birth. Okay, and change city. Okay, we can assign a new city or actual city when we create this object. And then display is to show this in output of that software or program. Okay, these are methods, these are attributes in center, and this is name of class.